Greetings shippers, welcome back. And now that Endgame has allegedly closed the door on this chapter of the MCU, some are looking back at their ships, or lack thereof, and doing some post-mortems. A lot of people are pondering what they view as missed opportunities, and for some, there is no bigger missed opportunity than Winter Widow, or BuckyNat, the pairing of Black Widow and the Winter Soldier. So let us continue our Marvel journey and examine why fans were hoping for this pairing, what they saw in it, and what ultimately ended up happening. Before we get started, if you haven't already, please follow on social media to stay up to date, know when we're streaming, or just come on over and chit chat about fandom. It's a good time, I swear. Now, let's examine Winter Widow. The pairing of Natasha and Bucky has become a fan favorite, or if not a favorite, then a pairing that people are aware of, even to the point where it can be recognized amongst casual fans as well. This phenomenon is not something that occurs with all comic couples. For example, despite years of distance and strife, depending upon what era you are reading, fans still think of Cyclops and Jean Grey, rather than Cyclops and Emma Frost, whom he had a relationship with for a significant amount of time, especially in comic terms. Black Widow has been quite paired. However, while people have their favorites, not all have managed to capture people's attention like Bucky and Nat. Part of that may have been the relative newness and recentness at the time of the MCU's emergence of Bucky and Nat's romance, and just of Bucky in general. Bucky Barnes having been dead for decades before his resurrection by Ed Brubaker in the Winter Soldier story arc in 2005. Up until that point, he had been considered one of the true comic book deaths in history. Part of his return involved him reforging and building bonds with prominent Captain America characters, and others, which led to an intricate backstory and romance with Black Widow, one that began while he was a brainwashed Soviet agent. However, the two managed to find each other. In fact, he was one of Natasha's instructors in the Red Room. The two are torn apart, and years later, a brainwashed Bucky doesn't fully know her. Not initially anyway. Over time, the two rekindled their friendship, and in many instances, dance around or flirt with, pun fully intended, something more. Some fans point in particular to their interactions in the 2011 story event, Fear Itself. So when both of these characters entered the MCU, and it became clear that the Marvel Cinematic Universe was taking some of its relationship cues from the mega relationships of the comics, certain fans began to anticipate they could see these two get together, and their MCU ship began to rise. This was a case of a ship with plenty of alternate canon, in this case the comics backing it, and in the minds of many fans, their MCU counterparts carried on the rationale for why they felt these two would be good for each other. So fans have set about making it work, creating their own headcanons of these two's past, as well as their new meeting and reconciliation. Canonically, a wrench was thrown in the plans of some in the form of 2015's Avengers 2 Age of Ultron, and the Hulk-Black Widow romance. Part of what threw so many fans off about this was the numerous other canonical romantic interests for Natasha on hand, with three in particular standing out as potentially already having been set up. 2012 in the Avengers film saw the rise of Natasha, also canonically dashed by Age of Ultron, though canon stops no shipper. Also, her and Hawkeye have quite a firm comic relationship as well. Cap and Nat is also set up firmly by Captain America 2 The Winter Soldier, and the third of course being Bucky, also introduced in 2014's The Winter Soldier, which was what some thought was set to be the beginning of that story arc for her and Bucky.
The Winter Soldier was there. I was covering my engineer, so he shot him straight through me. Soviet slug, no rifling. Going after him's a dead end, I know, I've tried. Like you said, he's a ghost story.
Well, in all fairness, in terms of romantic interest for Nat, we could make it 4 if we had Tony, but he was attached to Pepper early on. Despite this, the ship was still going strong, as in 2015, Sebastian Stan, who plays Bucky Barnes, was asked what he thought about the potential for that relationship, and he stated, yes they can, yes they should. And that wasn't the first time he had expressed enthusiasm at that particular story arc. In 2014, he had stated, I could talk about the Black Widow all you want. That's an amazing storyline. I would love for that to happen. Now, while some took this as a portent of things to come, others were more cautious, as actors' opinions are their own, and not necessarily indicative of production plans, as the amount of control actors have over proceedings varies, and is often far less than fans ascribe them. In many instances, they are simply giving their opinions, but because of their status, their opinions end up having more weight than they may intend, though some feel fans need to take more things with grains of salt. Still, fans' hopes rose again for a canonical acknowledgement of this couple with the third Captain America film, Civil War, which was set to feature Bucky in a prominent fashion, and for a brief moment fans thought they had it, when during a fight sequence between the two characters, Natasha utters the line,
You at least recognize me.
Fans felt this was a direct acknowledgement of these two's past. The thoughts were, this is it, it's all happening. And the pairing had a bit of a surge. Hard to see amidst those mired and Stucky, but it was there. However, after this, Still, fanon did its job, creating scenarios, and the comics provided plenty of fodder still to keep these two ship alive. But as the years went on, it became apparent that this couple was far from creators' minds, and ultimately at the time of this recording in the MCU, it appears to have come to naught. In fact, since Civil War, the two have barely occupied the same space. Heck, since Civil War, Bucky has barely occupied any space, period. He's gonna occupy more space though. He's got a TV series coming. So in the minds of some fans, this was a huge missed opportunity. Why? Well, fans who enjoy this couple feel it adds something to each character, an extra layer of pathos and drama that plays well with the themes of these two's potentially conflicting loyalties. It creates a unique tie between the two that other characters don't have, or if they do, it's a different form of tie. It was a romance uniquely Bucky's that managed to attach itself to many a fan, if not as something they shipped, then as something that was important to the characters. Some felt it broadened them, fleshed out backstories. Now, of course, some feel there was no time for this in the MCU, or that it wasn't important, or that it was better gone, as romance has no place in this genre and weakens characters. This argument tends to be applied more to female characters than male ones. Also, some felt that these two were side characters, though many fans will bristle at that, and Black Widow escaped that label quickly. And Bucky appears to be too, again, TV show. Some feel there is still hope that these two's relationship could be explored, despite the Russos' insistence that Black Widow is gone, which honestly could quite quickly be retconned by new creators with a compelling enough case to Kevin Feige. So some feel there is still hope for these two, be it in the future, or in Black Widow's rumoredly at the time of this recording prequel film, whose time frame is now rumored to be set after Civil War, a rumor started by none other than Sebastian Stan himself, though at the time of this recording no one has been able to produce the clip wherein he revealed said information, so it stays in rumor territory for now. He did, however, also express interest in playing the Winter Soldier in said film, stating, "Yeah, absolutely, of course, I mean anytime, I'm ready. They have a very nice history in my opinion, it's very intricate. The truth is, he actually taught her in the comic books. He was a teacher to her. It's all set during a specific interesting time, the Cold War. It's all a very spy, thrillerish, noirish story. It would be very interesting to explore that on film. I would love if they do that. You know, I hope maybe they will." He also expressed interest in exploring the relationship somehow in the upcoming Falcon and Winter Soldier series for Disney+, stating, "I think it would be really interesting to see the whole Winter Soldier that we haven't seen yet. If you think about it, he had a whole other life, sort of as this alter ego, so to speak. When you see the Winter Soldier now, he's sort of like a machine in the movies, but before that, there is actually real character there, and that was the character that had a friendship with Black Widow, but you know, we'll see what happens." So where do you stand? Are you Natasha and Bucky shippers? If so, did you want to see it explored in the MCU, or are you fine with how things played out and content to live in the realm of fanfic? And also the comics. Do you still carry the torch of hope to see these two on screen? And finally, are you just perplexed and need a whole Winter Widow video to explain what people see in these two outside of their comic book history at all? Let me know down below. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to spend it discussing shipping with me. I always appreciate it. There are, as always, more videos coming soon, so if you haven't already, please do subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Special thanks to all my patrons, names on the side, for helping to make these videos possible. There are, of course, as always, more videos coming soon. So I'll see you all again when I can, and don't forget, there are as many ships out there as there are stars in the sky.